to create engraving of your name, all right, and wrap it around a round cylinder and do the engraving around the cylinder utilizing the fourth axis. All right, so the way that we're going to do this is using a process called axis substitution. So you guys have all had Mastercam training, right? So I'm not going to go over the basics of Mastercam, but if you want to take some notes on this, or you can, if you can open your Mastercam and view this at the same time, you can work along with it that way. So let me share my screen here. This one.
Me and a couple of the other guys, Mr. Hagar, never took the lathe Mastercam class. I think it's 107.
Oh, you haven't done lathe yet? All right.
We didn't know. That's the only thing that I wanted to go over. You know, just to mention, I think me, Ed, Nassar, and maybe a couple of others haven't taken that lathe Mastercam yet.
All right. So this is a milling process. So I don't think there's anything specific to the lathe that would affect us here.
All right.
But,
all good.
All right, I'm going to go through it step by step so we can all see how to do it. All right,
all I have is a black screen.
What's that?
All I have is a black screen. I don't see anything.
You don't see my master key?
I see the share pretty good. I see you sharing your screen. You might have to log out and log back in.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to have to do.
How did you get those lines on it, Mr. Hagar, with the grid?
Just give me a quick moment. I'll be right
back. Yeah, just a Cartesian plane there.
Either F9, yeah, either F9 will do that, or should be here in view. There's a little icon that says show. Oh, wait a minute, I'm on the wrong one.
I got it. It just showed it's solid.
Yeah, see this icon here, show axis?
Okay.
That turns them on and off. See, they're gone, and now they're back. Yeah. So that gives you your F9 should do it too. See, there's F9.
Okay.
All right. We ready to get started? Nick, you're back? Okay. All right.
I'm back, but I still don't see anything.
Still don't see this, huh? Unshare it and reshare it. See what makes a difference.
Yep, now I can see screen share has ended. And
all right, let me go back to this one. Screen one, share.
Screen share has started. Black screen.
You're getting a blank screen?
Yep, black.
Huh. Everybody else can see this? Anybody else have a blank screen?
No, I can see it.
I see it.
All right, Abby, I don't know, is it maybe minimized or something? Or?
Make share screen full screen, and it's still black.
Better restart it.
Yeah, maybe shut down and restart or something.
Now it's black.
Do you have another computer you can start Mastercam on?
I don't. So I'm just, you know what? I'm going to make do I'm gonna listen, and then it shares the screen with the recording. So I'll go back in the recording.
Yeah, it'll be in the recording.
All right, I'll just remember.
Okay, so
4 minutes here.
all right. So the first thing that I'm going to do is create my engraving. All right, create the artwork that I'm going to do the engraving. So I'm going to do this using wireframe and create letters. All right, up here, see this letter A. Let's create letters. All right, and what that's going to do is open this this box here where I can choose a font. I can choose the size of the letters that I want to create. And so I'm going to leave the font alone, and I'm going to type in here my name. All right, and over on this side here, this determines the size of the letter. All right, so the size of the letter is a ratio. So we're going to choose the height. All right, I have my height in as 1 inch. So I'm going to leave that alone, and that's going to determine the width of the letters and the spacing of the letters based on a predetermined ratio to give it the ordinary appearance. All right, so this I put my name in here. I've chosen a font. I've chosen a size. Now I want to place the letters on the screen. So I'm going to OK this. And I get a little note here that says enter the starting location of the letters. So I'm going to use my 0 point right here, click on that, and I get my name.
Well, my Mastercam just kind of opens it up in a sidebar with toolpaths are for you, and when I type it out, it just kind of hovers with the letters at the center, and I'm not sure how to get this to
let me go to
stay on the order.
You're in wireframe?
Yeah.
And create letters, because there's other ways of creating text. You can make a note and things. If you're making a drafting note or something along those lines, it doesn't see that as an entity that it can machine. So you want to use wireframe and create text.
That's what I use create letters.
After we created it,
Create letters.
I need to get that location spot because mine's sitting exactly where yours is on the screen.
I chose the center. Chose that the
Okay.
shows the 0 point. You get this little note. Enter the starting location of the letters. I picked that.
I didn't get that, but I might have clicked there and it did it because it started right there.
Okay, so that's what determines the location, and then you can move it around with Translate. So we're going to do that next. All right, so I'm going to OK that.
Crying out loud.
Just hit. All right, so now I've got my name on the screen, but I want to wrap the name around a cylinder. So in order to do that, I want it to be vertical. All right, because we're going to use the y-axis as our substitution axis, and that's based on the fact that I want to put the indexer on in line with the in line with the x-axis, just like we had it on before. So in that case, I'm going to use the y-axis as my substitution. So to do this, I just want to rotate my letters. So I'm going to go to transform and rotate I'm going to select my name.
Why are the letters
Window.
appearing when I go to this?
Yeah, there's it creates like a little clock that's rotating it.
Right, I click on here and you get this little clock
Yep.
to rotate it. I'm going to go
How do
90
you select
degrees.
the letter?
I windowed it. Just dragged a window around it.
Because when I did it, it didn't allow me to. So I went to transform. How did you get that window up? Once you hit transform, it showed up? I mean, once you hit rotate?
When you select it. All right, let me get out of here and I'll show you again. Keep out of here. All right, so I'm going to go transform, rotate. All right, so see,
It's
it
not
says-
letting me. It's not letting me select the actual. So transform, rotate, and then it just
All
shows
right,
me the rotate.
so I'm
box.
just
It doesn't
gonna-
actually come up with any letters with
Well,
it.
maybe they were already selected. You know how to end selection?
Let me hit the X, right?
See this thing right here, end selection? Is that available?
No, all it shows up is that rotate box to the left side of the screen.
Did you hit the check mark when you finished making your letters?
I believe I did.
Because
So I'm just dragging out a window like this
or
to
not.
select it. All right, and then enter. So now you're at this point. Are your letters
Okay, I got it.
highlighted like this, like they're selected? Okay.
Yep, I just selected them. Okay.
All right, so now I'm going to rotate it.
Yep.
I'm
there
going
we
to go
go.
90 degrees. And then you over on in this box, you want to make sure that you check move and not copy. Otherwise, you'll end up with both versions. All right, so we're going to move it, and then I'm going to OK that. All right, so now I've turned my name up vertical. All right, so the next step here is going to be to begin the process of machining this. All right, this is our artwork that we've created. Now we're ready to machine it. So I have to choose a machine. All right, so I'm going to go up here to the to choose machine off of the toolbar, and I'm after a milling machine. I'm going to go over to milling machine. Now, remember we're doing a 4th axis operation. All right, so I don't know whether you guys have entered other machines into your library or not. I'm going to assume that we have not. So I'm going to hit this arrow to drop down the list, and I'm going to go to manage the list. All right, I get a list like this.
I have 2 things in my list.
Same
All right, so you have one that says manage list. Below your 2 machines, does it say manage list?
No, it just says mill default, mill default.
All right, let me
Mr.
go.
Noriega tried to help me one time to copy from your licensed version at school and paste it, but it wouldn't work because it's only a demo version.
Oh, really? So, see, when I click on mine, I get my default machine and then other machines that I've chosen. But then I get one here that says manage the list.
Yeah, we
not
get
getting that?
managed list, but we only get default machines.
Well, click on the manage list. If I click on the manage list, then I get this list.
Yeah, we only get default machines.
It's only 2 options, Mr. Hagar, that were showing up on ours because of the demo version.
All right, so I think the default machine will work. So
Okay.
let's,
I certainly hope it works.
So
I
select
believe it will.
So select.
so what I was after here, if you do, if you do have a list like this, all right, this shows a whole bunch of different types of machines. All right, there's different brand machines, there's different configurations of machines. So the idea is this list should match all the machines in your shop. All right, so we can take machines from here and move them over to this list, and this list should be populated with all the machines in your shop. All right, so that when you need to choose a machine, you can choose the appropriate one. So, like I added this this one up here that was indicated as a Haas 4-axis vertical milling machine. I had added that one to my list. But if you guys don't have this list, then we're just going to use the default because I think that outputs an A anyway. So let's go to choose our mill, default, and that's going to give us the beginnings of our toolpath manager. Right, we should have a machine group now and some properties. Everybody get that far?
Yes.
Wait, hold
Okay,
on. One more
so-
time. We're doing the contour you said? I'm sorry, I lost you there.
No, just we're just selecting mill and then default, and then just going to toolpath.
Oh, okay.
That gives us it gives us our machine group.
Gotcha.
Okay, so the machine group, I'm going to rename it. I'm going to click on here. And I'm going to name it 4-axis. All right, I just put a name in there because I like to name the machine groups just to keep track of them. All right, but what I'm really interested in here is to open the properties, and I'm after the stock setup. All right, so I'm going to click on stock setup. It brings me up my options for stock setup, and I'm going to define this as cylindrical stock. All right, so I give it a. So if you haven't done lathe, you may not have seen the cylindrical stock yet, but we're going to define this as cylindrical stock, and then it gives us different choices of how to position this cylindrical stock, all right, based on what axis we're putting it in line with. So we're going to use the x-axis, all right, because our 4th axis indexer is in line with the x-axis. All right, so that's how we want the stock. I'm going to define my stock as a 4-inch diameter and 12 inches long. And the stock origin, I'm going to leave zeros here except the X. I'm going to do a negative 11 inches. And I want to display my stock. What's that? I'm going to check total display stock here, and then I can check out of here.
So you said negative 11 inches for X, right?
That's where I put it, yeah, negative 11 inches. So what that does is that sets this location over here. All right, so I moved it from here back 11 inches. That leaves me an inch on this side, just so I can make sure my name doesn't run off the end of the part. So here's my, I can rotate it a little bit here. You can see, now I have a cylinder of stock. I have my name positioned where I want to start from. Just going to go to the top view. So I'm ready to start the programming for the actual engraving. All right, so to do the engraving, I'm going to create a toolpath. All right, so I go up to toolpaths. That's what's shown along here. And I want to go all the way over here and get a contour. All right, contour toolpath. It asks me for an NC name. Cursor up there. There it is. All right, and we get our chaining box. So for a chain, I'm going to select a window chain. Get a window chain, and I'm going to grab my whole name. Now it won't chain those red dotted lines because those are the stock. They're not part of the geometry. All right, so the only thing I have on my screen is my name. So you could do a select all with the keyboard, but I like to use the window. So that selects it. Now you see the little note there says sketch approximate starting point. I'm just going to pick the beginning of one of my letters. I picked that point on the J there. That's fine. So now you can see it's all selected. So I'm going to OK that. And that opens up the rest of my contour selections here. All right, so we're going to get a tool. Go to the top of the tree here. We'll get a tool. I'm going to go to my library.
Happy birthday, Jobs.
And from my library, I'm going to go to the filter. I'm going to do none except let's use a center drill. So I just want center drills, and I'll OK that. And now I've got a list of center drills. I'm going to use a number 2 center drill. All right, which I think will do all right on engraving. So I pick a number 2 center drill.
What's that number 2 center drill? Okay, right here.
Yeah, I picked a number 2 center drill. I'm going to label it over here. That's tool number 1. Use length offset 1, diameter 1. All right, I'm going to set my feed rate. I'm going to use 20 inches a minute.
What did you say for length offset 1 and then diameter? Okay, change diameter. Okay.
Yeah, when you put in tool 1, it changes length offset and diameter offset to 1 also. Unless you want, you can go back and make something different, but we'll use 1.
What did you change for the feed?
I put 20 inches a minute in for the feed. 1,000 RPM should be fine. My plunge rate is 25 inches a minute. My feed rate is 50 inches a minute. I'm going to put a comment in the box that's going to be engrave text. And I'm going to move to my tool holder.
This is a 3D contour, right?
What's that?
This is a 3D contour?
It's going to be a 2D contour.
Okay.
All right, I'm in the holder. I'm going to open the library of holders. I'm going to get a cap 40 inches, CT 40 inches. I'm going to open that. And I'm going to take the first one.
0020?
Yes. All right, just so it's representative of what you might be holding that tool with, some kind of collar holder. All right, now I'm going to go to cut parameters.
Holder again?
The
Charlie
holder?
4, Charlie 3, 0020.
Yep.
Got it, thank you.
All right, so cut parameters. 2D contour. All right, we can leave it right there. Compensation type. This is important. we want to drop down the arrow, and we want to turn compensation off. All right. The reason for this is we have our text is comprised of lines. We want to cut right on the line. All right. So we want the point of our tool right on the line. So we don't want it to offset to one side or the other. So we just turn compensation off, and it's going to keep our tool right in the middle of those lines.
Where does it say
And so,
compensation?
up here I'm on the cut parameters page, and it says
Okay.
compensation type on the upper left hand. Drop down the arrow. It's going to give you a couple different types, and the last one is off. Just turn it off. All right, the rest of these settings, I can leave them where they are. I don't want to leave any stock, so they should be zeros. We're doing a 2D contour type, so I'm going to go to depth cuts. I'm going to turn that off. That's already off. I'm going to turn depth cuts off. I'm going to turn lead in and out off. All right, I don't want to use any lead in and out. I want to start right on the beginning of the line. So I'm going to turn that off. Breakthrough is turned off. Multi-passes are turned off. Tabs are turned off. I don't want any of that stuff. So that brings me all the way down. Depth cuts is off. Lead in and out is off. Breakthrough is off. Multi-passes is off. Tabs is off. Brings me down to linking parameters. So the linking parameters, I want to set the top of my stock as 0. And I'm going to use my depth, an incremental minus 10 thousandths. Right? So I'm going to go 10 thousandths deep with this engraving. My feed plane, this is showing at 200 thousandths, which is fine. My retract is at 250, which is fine. And my clearance is fine at 2 inches. All right, so that takes care of our linking parameters. Now, this is where it gets tricky.
On?
You know, I fought the
What's that?
squirrel. I was
Should
sitting here.
clearance be on?
He growled a tomato.
You could.
He wasn't even scared of me.
You may want to do a little bit more clearance because you have
Hanging plant.
the indexer on the table. So
Squirrel.
you want to make sure that we're
Doesn't
clearing
know
the
what to do with it.
the collet holder and whatnot. All right, so this is where it gets a little tricky. We're going to, after linking parameters, we're going to go all the way down here to the bottom of the tree. And the last thing is rotary axis control. I'm going to click on that.
We're going to click axis substitution, substitute x-axis.
We're going to do axis substitution, but we're substituting the y-axis.
Okay.
All right, because we're using
We're under rotary axis control, right? And then where do we go? We go to axis substitution. Okay.
we're in rotary axis control, axis substitution. Click the last one. That highlights these others. Substitute the y-axis. All right, I'm going to do it clockwise.
Okay, clockwise.
Yeah, and then the rotary diameter is going to be the diameter of your stock. All right, so I used 4 inches diameter on the stock. We put 4 inches in there, and then there's a little box here. You want to make sure that that is unchecked. That's not checked, because what that does is unrolls the geometry, which we're going to actually roll it. So we leave that unchecked. All right, so that's the last thing we need in our cut parameter. So I'm going to OK it.
It's telling me cutter compensation not successful.
Because you didn't turn it off. You got to go back in that parameter and turn it off.
Parameters. So I hit parameters, cut parameters, compensation off. Okay.
Yep, now try it.
Yep, got it.
All right, so I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. I'm going to rotate this view a little. So you can see right, this was my geometry I created was these letters going vertical here, but my cut path is wrapped around the stock. All right, so that's what it should look like when you do this. All right, and we can bring in our simulation.
It's like a rainbow with my name. A name bow.
So here's our tool in our simulation, and I can run this. So here you see it's rotating the machine head around the stock, which is not really accurate to how it's going to work, right? Because, but that's a Mastercam thing. That's just how Mastercam shows its simulation. All right. So a better representation is the verification. All right. So let's take a look at that. So I'm going to kind of give this a isometric view, and I'm going to go into verification here. Take a look at that. So verification is going to show my stock. All right, so here's my verification window. I'm going to run this.
Where was verification under toolpaths? For some reason, I'm not seeing it.
I'll go back and show you.
It's under machine.
Oh, it's under machine? Okay. Machine, okay, verify. All right, I got it.
All right, so this is the verification. Now my computer struggles a little here because it's not that powerful a computer, but it is doing it. So see, in this indication, it shows the stock rotating rather than tool rotating around the stock. It's showing the tool staying steady and the stock is rotating. So that's what it would actually look like when you're using the fourth axis. It's going to rotate back and forth.
Yeah, mine does the verification a lot faster.
All right, so there's my engraved name on the outside of this cylindrical stock, done with the process of y-axis substitution. So that is our project for today. And if you go into Canvas, you'll find a practical project for this. To create your own name and place it around a cylindrical part. Now, I didn't put any requirement for the size of the part. Based on what you choose for the font of your name and the size of the letters, you just have to make sure it's going to fit on the stock. All right, so To do that, you can measure the name, right? When you create your name, you can measure it. And then as long as the circumference of the stock is longer than the length of your name, it should fit on the stock. All right, so we know that to calculate the circumference, take your diameter and multiply it by pi. Right, that'll give you your circumference. So just make sure that you choose stock or size your name appropriately so that it fits on there. And you can experiment with this. There's some different fonts and different sizes. So one other thing I'd like to do here is when you're finished with it, what you're going to submit is going to be a video of this this simulation. All right, and the way that you do that is right here, right in the simulation itself. It'll record it for you and create an MP4 file. All right, so that's what you're going to submit to to Canvas, is that MP4 video. All right, so I should see a video just like I watched here in the simulation.
Mine is going around when I do the verifying stuff, and it's working, but it keeps saying collision tolerance is larger than the tool radius. Operation 1-tool 1 tolerance was adjusted to 0.002 for the entire simulation. I don't know what I have to adjust here.
Tim and Mark.
Did you use a center drill or you use some other tool?
Center drill. Yeah, number 2 center drill. Number 1, 0.1875, 0.1875 center drill.
What's that?
All right, so
And I moved my stock up to 6 inches for the diameter because I have a longer name, and then kept the part at 12 inches, and then the stock origin is still X minus 11 inches.
okay. It could be.
Everything else I followed step by step.
All right, the clearance amount maybe is not enough in the linking parameters. With a bigger stock, you may need it might be starting with the tool embedded in the part.
What would I check on linking parameters? I'm in there right now.
You should have a in linking parameters, your clearance amount at the top here.
Yeah, clearance is 2.0.
All right, so if you're using 6-inch stock, then 2.0 from the center is still embedded in the stock, right? So
the stock I'm using is 6-inch, so I would have to put
so change that to 4 inches of clearance.
okay, so 4.0 and then absolute, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still saying that same thing. It said operation number 1, block 33, collision between tool, flute part, and stock. Yeah, every letter, it seems like it's making this error here.
What depth are you using for the depth here? You have minus 10 thousandths?
Let me check that. So that's minus 0.001, right? Check this.
Yes.
All right, that would be under toolpaths. And what was that under? That was under depth cuts?
Linking parameters.
Linking parameters. Oh, okay, that could have been it. 0.001. My decimal was off.
Should be
that.
minus 0.01. Minus 0.01.
Okay. Zero, one. Okay. We generate all dirty operations. Verify. Yeah, it's still saying block 32 collision between tool, flute part, stock. And it's every number or letter that I do, I can see that it's going through the letters, but it keeps coming up with that error.
So the error comes up after every letter?
Every letter. It goes around. I see it going around. But it's not going smoothly. This keeps saying block 2163 collision between tool, flute part, and stock. And I don't know why.
Your depth is incremental?
Let me just go back to my part. So let me go over parameters, linking parameters. My depth is incremental, minus 0.01.
What is your top of stock?
Where would that be located? Back with the stock setup?
No, right above the depth. In linking
Oh, right.
parameters.
Top of stock says 0, 0.
And that's absolute or incremental?
Absolutely.
Okay, that should be fine. The feed plane is incremental?
Yeah, feed plane is incremental 0.2. Is there anything else I could check with that?
It could be something in the definition of your tool, or to say that the flute is it's almost as if it's indicating it's trying to take too much for that flute depth. Maybe go back and choose a different tool. Try like a 1/32 end mill or something along those lines.
No. Could I change the tool, or do I have to redo all the geometry with it and stuff?
No, you can just change tools.
How do you do that? How would I do that? Without screwing up the whole tool path.
Yeah, go back to the top of the
parameters.
tree.
Oh, tool type.
Path. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Tool. Okay, I see here. Now, is this going to get rid of all my settings that I currently have with the number 2 center drill?
No, it should just substitute another tool.
Okay, so select tool library. What center drill did you say to go to? Or you said something else?
You could use an end mill. Try like a 1/32 end mill.
Okay, end mill flat, end mill, just a flat end mill?
Yep.
Okay, end mill flat, got it right here. All right. Tool diameter. Does tool diameter have anything to do with it? I put ignore on this one.
What is that?
Tool diameter, should it be equal? I mean, ignore equal, less than, greater than, between.
For tool. For your tool diameter?
Yeah, it's saying once I select the tool, I see on tool diameter on the right side. Should I just click OK? Okay, I see all the end.
Yeah, it should come with it. When you select the 1/32 tool, it should be 1/32 up there.
Okay, yep, 1/32 end mill. I'm going to select that. Okay, and just hit OK with it.
Yeah, try that one and see if you get the same message.
Tool number, should I change that to just tool number 2, and then length offset, tool diameters, okay, feed rate, plunge rate's 25, okay.
Yeah, just try it and see if you get the same solution.